back in the room.
Back in the room.
Back in the room. And
we're there again.
Not only are we back in the room, but the room has had a slight makeover.
Yes.
We're going to swap things up a little bit around here. One, we are going to make our podcast a bit shorter. We're going to try and hit that 30, 40-minute mark because we're busy people. We're all busy people. And second
also,
thing...
what's the point? You're busy people as well.
I'm busy
dear
people.
Listeners, watchers, viewers.
Exactly. And the other thing is that we've decided to kind of like, rather than go down the kind of, the subjects that we have been going down, we really liked when we did ADHD and supermarkets last week, right? We thought, let's follow that as a concept. So it's going to be like ADHD and then it's going to be something that we all have experienced, that we all kind of...
daily habits, routines,
right.
Shenanigans, daily shenanigans.
Exactly. So what we're going to talk about this week is ADHD and vacations. So let's go to a place where the distractions are landmarks and the detours are the main roads. Welcome to ADHDville.
Yay!
I almost hit the wrong button just then. I almost hit the outro. That would have been a mistake, and I managed to move my cursor around to the button that says the intro, thank God.
Always getting slicker. Yes, we are. Ha 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 ha. Yes, my name is Paul Thompson, and I was diagnosed with the combined ADHD and the D crawling towards a couple of years ago.
And I'm Martin Weston. I was diagnosed with combined ADHD poo-poo platter in 2013. And we start off, as always, here in the town hall. No, we don't. What am I talking about?
No, we don't. We're not. We got voted out.
We did get voted out. We are no longer the mayors, and we now hang out in the King's agitated...
The next best thing, we're down the pub around the corner from the town hall.
In the King's Agitated Head pub, where we sit at the back, enjoying a drink and taking care of business.
In a cubicle.
In one of those, and this week we're going to talk about vacations. So where shall we go, Mr. Thompsione?
I think we're going to the beach, aren't we, Martin? Or are we? Where are we going?
We are going to the beach.
Yes,
all right.
We go to the beach.
Right, well, let's jump in the tractor and head to the beach.
Let's go to the beach. Yay.
I can't wait. I've got my sunscreen. I've got my windbreaker.
Okay. Right.
I've got my sand bucket thing, sandcastle bucket,
and the spade,
and the little spade.
The bucket and spade.
And if you're watching on the YouTubes, you can see I'm definitely wearing my Hawaiian summer shirt.
Less so. Well, it's kind of summery as well.
What?
Well, stripes. I don't know.
Stripes.
Yeah.
Very continental. Very continental.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the vacation. Kind of holiday or vacation, as you say in the States.
Vacation.
And about what that means to us.
Love them or hate them, and a bit of both, I suspect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag. And it feels like, I don't know, it feels like in the past I've made loads of compromises in terms of what I want to do, because you feel like you've got to keep the family happy, I suppose.
All right.
Often.
Right, or your partner or whatever.
Putting aside what you want. I don't think I've ever really liked beach holidays unless it's on an isolated beach.
Yeah. I'm that thing of, like when you drive to the beach and you unload the car and you've got your chairs and the bags and you're hauling ass across the sand.
Well, before you even get there, you've been on the motorway, queuing on the
Yeah,
motorway before you get there.
right. And then
You
you like
know,
everyone else is there, and you set up, and you try and get your stuff ready,
yeah,
and then you sit in the chair and stare at the ocean. Um,
yes,
and that's your
and
day.
and pretend to
Lord,
relax. That's me.
it's very hard.
That's
It's very
me.
hard to relax on a beach.
Yeah, I can't do
How
it.
do
I've
you
always
do
tried
it?
to yeah. I've always felt like, oh, I've got to fit in here as well. On my holiday, I've got to try and fit in and try and look like I'm relaxed.
Right, you've got loads of people around you. You've got seagulls. You've got like
Hmm.
weird sensations of sand getting
In between your
everywhere.
toes,
It's it's boring.
in your ears, sand in your ears.
Right, and I bring a book because it's
Um,
boring, and I can't read.
yeah.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
like it's it's like there's the page is white and the sun is bouncing off of the page and it's
Yes.
burning my eyes, and I can't concentrate on the book. Good
Right.
lord,
So you're the same as me then, because we've
you
never
me
been on a summer holiday together, have we? We have been on a
no.
beach together.
Have we? Yeah, we probably have. I suspect we have at some
We
point.
got eaten
Surely.
by midges in Cuba.
Oh God, yeah, we slept on the beach in our sleeping bags in Cuba,
Yes.
and we had to zip the whole thing up right up to the top
Yeah.
because all of the
Right.
mosquitoes were like trying to
Yeah.
get into our sleeping bags.
Yeah. Because the hotel on the beach said that they didn't have a room for us, but they did the day after. So
Right.
we thought, oh, we'll let's sleep on
Let's
the beach, no
let's just
problem.
hang out on the beach. Yeah.
Anyway, so we
Anywho,
have had beach time together.
we have, albeit a slightly weird
Um,
one.
yeah, but I'm the same with books. By the way, I like the idea that I've read a book because I like buying books, but I'm not so good at actually getting around to reading them. But
Right.
being on the beach is like you can like, oh, I may as well read a book now. And if I find I'm careful about it, I find the right books. You know,
Okay.
if I find the right books, and they're not too. Sometimes I've been stupid and made bad choices, and I don't know, I'll take War and Peace
All right. You think
to the beach.
I'm going to have
That's not a
time
good
to get
idea.
through this brick of
Yeah,
a book?
that's
You
happened a
know what?
lot of times. So I've taken books that I would never read on holiday.
Isn't it weird how you go on vacation to get away from your normal life and then you bring a book that gets you out
Yeah,
of your vacation life?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if
yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. Um,
It does.
I've got,
'Cause
I've
I'm
got,
always thinking, oh, when's lunchtime? And then
oh
lunchtime
yeah,
is over, and
absolutely.
oh, when can I like slope back to the hotel and get under the shower and get this sand out of my toes?
Right. Yeah. If there's one thing I like about those beachy vacations, it's when you're not on the beach and you've gone back to the hotel room
Yeah,
and it's cool again and it's all
yeah,
quiet. You could just
yeah,
like decompress from the whole challenge
yeah.
of that whole thing. Although I do like I do like a beach when it's like off season
Hmm.
and it's cool and you can just
Hmm.
walk along it. There's no one else
Absolutely.
there.
A whole
That
different thing,
that's a whole
massively
different
different.
experience. Yeah.
I once went to a 3 weeks on a remote Greek island in August. Right,
Which
it
one?
took um begins with a D. I can't remember.
All right. Well,
Um,
perhaps Alexandra
it's not a
will.
famous one. It's a tiny island. Hasn't even got
Okay.
a petrol station on it.
All right. Well, you know what?
Um,
Yeah. Anyway, you spent
and
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and it was bliss. It took 3 days to get to the island.
Oh, all right.
You were like island
Wow.
hopping was involved,
Oh, I see.
but
I see.
it was really worth it though. It was completely. There no mopeds, no 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 cars, nothing. And Half of the island was for nudists, which I really liked, but it wasn't like well, it wasn't one of those like creepy nudist kind of things. It was really
Right.
chilled, naturist. It's more naturist nudist, which is a whole different ball game. It was not like people looking to hook up. It was a complete opposite of that, and it was really chilled. It was cool,
All right.
and it felt completely natural to like, oh, I'm going to get my kit off and go for a swim.
Lovely. You know
It
what?
was great. It was brilliant.
Speaking of Greek islands, Al, Ali, can't say that. Alexandra, who's our official ADHDville town crier. She's sent me like a TikTok on one of those Greek islands. It's called Attikos Island
Okay.
near Ithaca. Um,
Hmm.
they have these weird what's a weird these black pigs that swim in the
Oh
ocean
wow.
like
Okay.
seals. Like they're hanging out on the
Wow.
beach and they're
That's
swimming,
freaky.
and they're pigs and they're black and they're cool.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Now then,
So,
I've got some statistics for you, which I will pepper in,
wow.
but
Like
but
numbers.
numbers. But one of them was from 2023 Attitude Magazine reader survey that said 72% of ADHD adults report extreme difficulty with vacation planning,
There you go.
and I think
I love that statistic.
that's for me is like it's the planning
Yeah.
part that is the hard part. It's the I
Mm,
I don't like the whole planning thing. Whereas actually my wife likes that. She likes
mm.
the planning part.
I'm quite good
I
at planning
don't.
holidays. When we went
Oh,
to Greece, I was given responsibility for the planning. Bearing in mind there were four of us, I was given the
mm-hmm.
responsibility, and I planned it pretty well actually.
All right.
Given it was a 3 day, island hopping, and there was a bus transit from Athens to the coast, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm all right with that.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm guilty of just wanting to turn up. Of just like, here's a vacation. All right. I'll just trot up to the
Yeah,
vacation and start having fun. It's the whole planning part, and also the other thing is that uh 41% of us overbook things to do.
overbook things to do. Okay,
Yeah, so like so you say, right, we're going to arrive at the hotel, then we're going to go to this, and the next day we're going to go scuba diving, and then in the
right.
afternoon we're going to go and
Okay,
visit the bird sanctuary, and you just like
an
fill
excursion.
fill out your vacation, right, with way too much
Yeah.
stuff, and then you just burn
Yes.
out.
Okay.
Burn out.
Yeah.
Whereas actually
Yeah.
81% say that unstructured wander days are their favourite parts of their trips, according to ADHD
Oh,
Travellers Alliance
massively,
survey. Yeah.
massively. Yeah.
So
I
if
mean, I
there's a
think we
tip
should.
here, it's
Yeah.
like allow 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 days where you don't do anything.
Yeah. Are you good at going on holiday with groups?
Vacations with groups. Y- am I good? I mean, I'm good in that I don't fall out with anyone. So
Right.
if that counts as good, I mean,
Do you get frustrated?
the more you're right, yeah, it's
Do you remember when we
right.
went to Havana and we met up with a couple of friends from Belgium, and
Mm-hmm.
then it got to that point because it gets beyond a certain number, and there's indecision comes into the dynamic because no one wants to upset anyone. So and then you may end up making compromises
Right,
and just like, oh, to try and please everyone, and you don't really get to do what you want to do.
yeah, No, that is really typical, especially if you're going with a group of people, and for some bizarre reason they want to stay as a whole group of people rather than kind of going, right, well, us three are going to go and do this, and us three are going to
Yeah.
go and do that,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah.
us three are
Yeah.
going to go
Yeah.
and do this
Yeah.
other thing. So rather than being happy about splitting up and doing separate things, they all
Yeah.
want to stick together as a group. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just
Or
a
there's
fucking
someone that
nightmare.
takes just ages because I want to get out. I want to have breakfast in the morning and I want to
Mm-hmm.
get out. I want to do stuff, go somewhere. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get someone who's like, oh, no, wait, I'm just drying my hair. And it's like everyone's waiting in the foyer. Where does that
Right.
word come from, foyer? Anyway,
For
in the
yay.
entrance,
For
in the
yay.
reception. And it's like, oh, no, she's drying her hair or he's drying his hair or whatever. It's like, oh,
Right.
God. I
I
once went
know.
to Istanbul with a group, and after about 3 days, I said, "Look, guys, I don't want to upset anyone. Look, I'm
But
going to
I'm
just do
going
my
to.
thing today. I'll see you later, okay?" I just got on the
Mm-hmm.
first bus out of Istanbul in
Right.
any direction, just any random direction, and I timed it for about 25 minutes on the bus and
Right.
got off at the first bus stop at that point in time
Mm-hmm.
and
All
walked
right.
back to the historical center of Istanbul,
Oh,
and had the
okay.
best time of my life.
All right. So you just took a bus out and then you just walked
Yeah,
back in again.
yeah.
That's
I wanted to
hilarious. I
see the
love it.
real Istanbul, not the the tourist version of it.
Right.
And it was the
Right.
best thing ever. It was amazing.
That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of. I mean, like I've some of the vacations I've been on, but actually, it's because it's when I've gone on, when I've worked in another country, and then I've used that
Hmm.
as my place to go on vacations from. So I visited the Great Wall of China, and
Hmm.
interestingly enough, um, there is a toboggan slide that goes all the way back, that goes along the Great Wall of China. So
Okay.
so you get on the wall and then you walk along this huge massive thing that goes up and up and up, and some of it's really steep and it goes up, and then at one
Hmm.
point you can go all the way back down again on this tiny little rail. So it's a little tiny
Hmm.
thing, almost like a little sort of a tray, a tray that you sit on,
Yeah.
and it has a brake, and
Right.
then they just send you off on it. You just go down this rail,
Wow.
and try not to fall off
That sounds great.
because yeah, that
Well,
was fun.
there is that. We talked about some negative aspects of travel, of vacations, but there is that positive. That's that kind of dopamine hit of new experiences, new types of food, even new smells, different languages, a whole different vibe. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite dopamine hits. Just everything
Yeah,
feels new and different.
no, yeah, yeah, that, yeah. I mean, for an ADHD brain, that sort of novelty factors like really,
Yeah.
really important. In fact, according to 2020 Frontiers in Psychology, they say that 3+ days after 3+ days vacation, 68% report improved focus and mood. So a lot of
Okay.
us
Right.
kind of
Hmm.
come back, um,
Yeah.
refreshed.
Yeah.
Um, even if you've had a huge problem, like even if there's been a lot going on, because you know I think, where was this? 58%, according to 2023 Attitude Magazine's reader surveys, 58% said that 58% of people forgot essential items on their
Okay.
trips. like,
Right.
you know, passports, medications,
Yeah.
charges, all of that sort of stuff, which
I
I
have a
can
I
see.
have a repeating. I have a dream that I have quite often, um, about losing my passport and being trapped in a country,
All right.
like Havana, and not being able to get back. That happens to be quite. But I'm quite probably because of that. I'm really really organised for holidays. Really
Yes,
organised.
I
It's
have the
rare that
same
I forget
fear.
something.
I have the same fear. So I check everything like a billion times.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I read someone saying that that they also, that they like to hyper focus on planning the trip, and they spent
Hmm.
3 days, like shopping online to for various things for their trip, and
Hmm.
then was so hyper focused on that they forgot to buy the actual tickets for their
Okay.
vac- for their
Right.
vacation.
Right. I once was convinced that I'd booked flights on for a holiday. Turned out I hadn't.
Yeah,
I had just got through went through all the motions of looking for the flight, telling the person I was traveling, where it was and everything except actually booking the flights. I was convinced, and then there was like 10 days to go, and I thought, oh, I don't remember receiving an email with the tickets, and I
right.
checked up on it, and it's like, no, no, I haven't booked a single flight. Luckily, it wasn't too much of a problem. There
Ooh,
were still seats available, and it wasn't. I was like almost the same price, so it was
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
A friend of mine, um, she was going to Africa, right? And she was staying at our place in New York, and she said, "Right, what time do I have to leave in order to catch this flight?" And I said, "Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
you have to leave at this time." And
Yeah.
she thought I was being too cautious,
Right.
and
Yes.
so she left when she thought she should leave, and then
Okay.
she missed the flight,
Oh God.
obviously,
Yeah.
um, and then came back, and she was at our place for about 3 months before
Okay.
she could get her flight back out again.
No.
And the reason
Oh my
was
God.
was was because she hadn't got visas for all of the countries that she was going to
Okay.
visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, mate, you have to get the visas for those
Yeah. Yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
Um, so she spent time getting the visas, and those, yeah,
Oh blimey. I think
crazy.
we're going to do another episode about airports and things like that.
We will, we will.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got being like there's also different types of holidays, right? There is the what do they call it in Italian called the crociere, the cruise liners.
yes,
What's what's your position, Mister West, on
I
cruise
I do
liners?
not. That is my least. I That's my least favorite place to
Have you
go on
done one?
vacation. No,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want to book one because for me it's the idea of being I'm trapped. I'm trapped on this
Yes.
boat and I can't get off.
Yes.
But whether I
Yes.
like it or not, I'm
Right.
stuck.
For me,
And I
it's
always think,
my worst nightmare.
right,
Like
and
you're eating in the same place and it's like the buffet at the same time and queuing with everyone else, and then you get, I don't know, Roger and Belinda, who you
right,
ate with on the first night, and
right,
they kind of like want to, they insist on you eating with them every night,
right,
and you can't
and
get
you're
out of it.
stuck with them. Fucking Roger
Yeah,
and Belinda.
Roger and Belinda,
Yeah,
and then you go into the
annoying.
same places, and oh no, I don't get it. I really don't get
Right.
it at all.
You know what? ADHD.
Not
So
even if it was like an ADHD cruise. I wouldn't even go on an ADHD cruise
oh
if it
no,
existed.
no. Fucking hell!
Imagine.
What a
As
what
long
a
as the
nightmare.
captain isn't there.
Yeah, it's exactly like as long as the
Right.
captain knows what he's doing, that's
Yeah,
half of it.
exactly.
Right. Did you know, Paul, that in a 2021 Journal of Consumer Research says that ADHDers, like you and me, are 2.5 times more likely to impulse spend on trips.
Okay.
That's like kind of like
Uh,
like so that would be
oh,
when you're
excursions.
on vacation. Yes. So your
Yeah.
excursions to go and see the monkeys or to go to the Scoobies. And then so we spend more on these things, and then
Hmm.
34% of us admit to losing money on
Yeah.
unused activity bookings.
Yeah.
So
Or like
like,
hiring, it's like suddenly you're on the beach and you're bored. Think, I know what I'll do. I'm going to hire someone to teach me to windsurf.
oh blimey,
Yeah, I
well
did that
that
once.
yeah, I thought you did. I thought you
Yeah,
did.
I've done that. I quite like because I quite like being active. I've hired a jet ski as well. That was great.
Right.
Excursions are generally great, if you go to like little islands and things. But I tend to I'm a bit weird with those kind of things. Even if they're really appealing to me, I just generally don't do them. I suppose because
Right.
I'm worried that I'll be like stuck on a little boat with people I don't really want to get, trapped into small talk with, for a whole
Yeah.
day.
But like if you're there, you somewhere like you feel there's this pressure of,
Hmm.
of of what you should do when you're there. So like if you're in Paris, well, you have to see the Louvre. You have to go up the Eiffel
Hmm.
Tower, and
Yeah.
so there's this kind of pressure to optimize your
Hmm.
vacation by doing the things that you feel you have to do. This is going back to your earlier
Mm.
point. Feel you
Yeah.
have to do rather than actually what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, my
So even
dad, I once went with for New Year's Eve. We decided to go to Paris, and my dad decided that we should go to Disneyland Paris as well. A day trip to Disneyland Paris. My worst freaking nightmare. I hate
blimey,
those kind of things. I even if it's like any kind of what do you call them, amusement parks.
right,
Even if it's Disneyland, I hate those places with a passion.
all right.
But I said, okay, let's do it. And it was the pits. It was
It was
terrible.
the pits.
It was the pits.
Well, there we go. There's Paul's travel recommendation, not Disneyland Paris. Have you got
No, it was
any?
horrendous.
We're on the 28-minute mark. Have you got
Oh, okay.
any
Oh
any
well, it's only
standouts?
I've got transitions,
Oh
right?
yes,
When you're
transitions.
on the beach and you've got to transition out of your normal shorts into your bikini, right?
Into
Or
your
in my
bikini.
case, or in
I'm
my
not.
case, my trunks.
I'm.
I
I
hate that
am not
transition.
getting. I'm not transitioning into your bikini. Just saying.
Or even my mankini.
Right. But
Yeah, those transitional moments. It's like, oh God, because I don't know. There are some countries, for instance, that are very particular. I think in France, you're not, especially in the south coast, Côte d'Azur, you're not allowed to. You've got to be careful about what you're how you're dressed when you're not on
oh
the
yeah.
beach. So you just can't walk from the beach to the hotel just wearing a bikini or a
Yes.
mankini. You have to get
Yeah.
dressed and be
Yeah. There are
decent, you know.
plenty of countries where where you have to
Yeah,
wear something on your
yeah. But I'm not
shoulders.
comfortable about transitions. A bit like Dudley Moore in 10. Do you remember in 10 where he has trouble with the hot sand?
I
And he has
don't.
to,
It's been
he
a.
orders a cocktail just so the waiter comes out so he can get a piggyback on the way back. on Gets a piggyback from the cocktail waiter.
That's funny. You know what?
It's brilliant.
On the transition side, there's the like uh, the the biggest thing is that you've got like a life, like how you've got all your habits and your things that you've set up in your normal life, right?
Hmm.
Like eating and sleeping and doing all the kind of healthy things, and then you
Hmm.
go on vacation and it all goes tits up, right? It's all just
Yeah.
like it all just goes everywhere, and all your carefully all your careful routines and healthy habits just kind of just go out of the
Yeah. Yeah.
window. And then
Yeah.
when you get back from vacation, it's like you just have to. It's it's not easy to kind of get all those habits back again. Like
Yeah.
there's a real
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
transition from
That's true.
vacation to home is a little bit of a weird one as well.
And another tricky transition could sometimes be the transition between coming out of the sea, going for a swim,
Hmm.
coming back onto the beach, but that part of the shoreline is quite steep and it's full of pebbles that are quite difficult. And you're coming out of the beach, coming out of the sea, trying to look cool, right?
Is there any way that you can
That's
walk out
happened
of the
to
sea
me.
looking cool? Is that a thing that
Yeah,
can happen?
there is. I've tried it. I was in Calabria 2 years ago, which is on the south coast of Italy, and it was a steep. There was along the shoreline. There were pebbles,
Hmm.
so um, there was no cool way of walking back onto the beach. You
It's
just
just
had to look like
scrambling.
you were scrambling, and it was really uncomfortable. Like pebbles underneath your feet.
Oh, I know. And you just kind of like walk, and you try and walk, and then the
Yeah,
surf sucks back, and then all the
yeah.
stones under your feet disappear,
Exactly.
and
And then
then you kind
sometimes
of
you end
like,
up crawling. You're on all fours at one point, right?
yes,
And then
yes.
the
You think,
water draws back like a little mini tsunami, and your
yeah,
feet get sucked into the sand.
yeah,
And you think,
yeah, and then it
I'm
comes
trying to
back.
look cool here. Help me out.
Hmm.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Let's move
Unless you've got.
on.
All right.
No.
So we are going to rate. So
Yes.
everything that we're going to be talking about, like ADHD in supermarket, ADHD in vacations,
Mm.
we now have a new rating thing. So we're gonna score these. So um,
Mm. It's
let
a
us know
difficult one, this.
how you would score
Yeah.
ADHD and vacations. Now we've got two things that we're going to score. One is
Categories.
is yes. Thank you, Paul. Categories. The dopamine hit score. So that's like how
Yeah.
much good stuff, how much
Yeah.
dopamine can you get out of it? And then there's
Yeah.
then there's the burnout score. How much does that
Hmm.
thing suck from your very living soul? Um,
How much it makes your eyes bleed. Yeah.
yes. And then we'll kind of see, out of those two,
Yeah.
you know,
It's an
we get
interesting
some.
one already. This is the first time we've done this ratings. It's already on this particular subject, quite an interesting one. What have you got, Martin, under dopamine hit? Between 0 and 10.
Right. I'm going to
What have you
say,
got?
for me, vacations are like a 6. Like,
Okay.
I can get a lot out of them. I do like them, but
Right.
but they're not, they're
Yeah.
not something that I go out of my way to plan every year. Like I
Mm,
look forward to my
yeah.
vacation and I, and I save up and I, and that's what I'm thinking about. It's not at the front of my mind at all.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What is
I
your
think I'm
dopamine hit
I'm
score?
torn, Martin. I'm torn because in the end, if I'm really, really honest, I do prefer to go on a holiday by myself.
Hmm.
I kind of like it's a different holiday. It's it's much more exploratory. you get into more kind of more unusual shenanigans, bigger
Hmm.
dopamine hits potentially, and more interesting. But generally that doesn't happen. So I'm going to go for a solid 6.5
Oh
on the
wow. Okay.
dopamine hit score.
All
Yeah,
right. So just
yeah,
under mine. All right, and
yeah.
then the burnout score, which is like how much it sucks out of our very living souls.
By the
Um,
time I get home after a holiday, burnout score, ooh, I suppose
yeah,
a
that's yeah.
7,
I think
about a
that's like
7.
all right. So you're
By
going
the time I
to
get
go
home,
for
I'm exhausted, unhappy to be home.
right, and as they always say, I I want to take a vacation to uh, to relax after my vacation
Yeah,
or something like
exactly.
that.
I often find that like vacations are a bit of a lie, really. It's like what I was saying before, like, oh, let's sit on a sun lounger all day for 2 weeks and pretend that I'm relaxed. And I
Yeah,
can't do it. I'm not a good relaxer.
I think you are more of of a city break person, right? You're a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah, yeah.
like me. Like
Massively.
I would much rather go to somewhere where there's like museums and interesting architecture and art
Yeah, yeah.
work and
Oh,
crap and good
massively.
food.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give the burnout score as a 6.5. So
Okay. Solid.
so so for me, it is slightly so for me, vacations are slightly worth it by point
Yeah.
0.5, and yours
Right.
you're saying is slightly
Yeah.
not worth it by zero
Yeah.
point 0.5.
Well, not exactly worth it or not worth it. More it's like I'd rather be doing something else. I think I could get more dopamine and less burnout doing what I really want to do and just being really freaking selfish. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So there you go.
Okay.
That
Alrighty.
those are the scores. And in fact, next week I shall have a piece of music
Okay.
for that
Nice.
thing.
Come on.
All right, come on. All right, let's go to the.
Okay.
We're going to
The post
quickly
office.
nip to the ADHDville post office. Yes, yes, let's do that, Paul. And you're going to say,
Yes, your feedback is vital to us. We read all your messages and we might read out yours. Yes, yours out on a future podcast.
cast. Like
Cast.
this one
Like this one
from
from
Alexandra,
Alexandra.
our official town crier. Um, and we were talking about supermarkets last week,
Mm-hmm.
and if you haven't read all of our wonderful comments in the comment section on YouTube, then you should, and write your own comments on YouTube. Come on, say hello. Anyway,
Come on.
so she was saying that when it comes to supermarkets, she says,
Mm.
I have an internal rule: two impulsive buys. For me, it's
Yeah.
usually cookies or crackers and ice cream or a more expensive cheese
I like that. A more expensive cheese, but more expensive than what?
than a
Than
regular her
okay.
regular cheese. She might be like,
More than a
I'm going to
feta
up the
cheese.
ante. Yes, I
Okay.
bought some
Right.
lavender and honey cheese the other
Oh
day.
wow.
It was very nice. It was
I
a soft
discovered
cheese.
quite recently smoked mozzarella.
Oh yes, it's very
It's
nice.
so good.
All
So good.
right,
Okay.
and then let's just talk about let's
Next
talk about
week.
what we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah, we're gonna
What are we going to
talk,
talk about next week?
Martin.
What are
We're
we
gonna
going to talk
talk
about next
next,
week?
so episode 91 of our podcast will be
Oh,
ADHD
91.
and the cosmos.
Ooh,
Martin. The
planets
cosmos.
and stars,
Expansiveness,
universe.
infinity.
So, if you've got any thoughts about the cosmos and the
Yes.
planets and the stars and all those
General
other
mind
exciting
blowing
things,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, then let us know what your favorite thing about the cosmos is.
Okay.
And
Lovely.
we'll
So
get into
join us
that
for that
next.
one. Join us for that next
Exactly.
week. And if
All
you've
right,
got
well,
any suggestions about the cosmos, just put those in the comments as well.
why not? So that just leaves me to hit the outro button. There it is. And to say
There
that
it is.
ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us most magnificent. And feel free to correspond at will in the comments. But wait, there is more. If you wish to see our beautiful faces, then sally forth to the YouTubes and the TikToks. And you can also pick up a quill and email us at ADHDville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
And I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, fare thee well with gladness of heart.
Very nice.
Very nice.
There, says the
Very
mayor.
nice.
That's that.